Hello, and welcome to the kickoff meeting for the CFA exam 2020. I'm sure you've all realized that the June exams didn't happen, but I'm glad to see you're all ready, get ready for the December exam. I want to welcome you and also to introduce the CFA Society Switzerland to you, because we are here to help you through this in any way that we can. Introduce myself, I'm Sheila Olin. I'm a member of the board and currently acting CEO of the society. Behind you, waving her hands, is Sabine. And Sabine is your godmother. If you have questions, ask Sabine. She has all the resources that you can imagine to get you through the exam. Standing next to her is Jeff. Jeff is also there to help you. And at the door you saw Mariana. Again, that's almost all of the staff at CFA Society Switzerland. Michelle isn't here tonight. But please feel more than welcome. If you have a question or an issue, please give us a call, because we do want to help you as much as we can during the CFA exam process. And it is a process. It's a process that we can help you with, but also we're hoping that you can help each other through this process. And to start that off, I'm going to ask everyone to self-identify themselves. If you're a CFA level 1, please stand up now. You can look around. There's all your friends for 6 months to come. Good, thank you. And let's have CFA 2 stand. Okay, the numbers are diminishing, but good for you. The survivors, that's great. And now CFA level 3. Very good. Well, thank you very much. Best of luck to all of you. Again, we're looking forward to your success in getting through this, and we view it as our success. So good luck to all of you. And this will be the first kickoff of how we're looking to help you. And Patrick will be speaking now. Patrick is an experienced trainer for the CFA exams, and he'll be telling you how his experience and knowledge and expertise of getting through the exam, sharing that with you. And Alina, who just, thank you, she just passed in 2019, and she'll be giving you her personal experience. And then Sabine, remember your godmother, she'll be finishing up with some of the assets and resources that you can turn to for us that we'll be looking to help you with. So in the meantime, good luck to everyone, and looking forward to seeing you at the award ceremony after the exams.
I hope it works.
Try to turn it on. I'll take it away.
Okay. Do you hear me? A little bit? Good? Somebody behind hears me very well. No, it doesn't work?
I don't think so. I just checked.
I did that. Very good, thank you. You see, yeah, my slides are there. So I'm going to talk about how to prepare and looking at all 3 levels. Preparation is of course not the same for all 3 levels, but there are things that are quite common. What are the key factors to take account when you start with that? Look at your own learning technique from what you did till now. Of course, you need to be very much motivated, and of course trainers are also here to support that motivation. The worst thing is basically to abandon. I've seen also level 3 candidates that didn't pass the second time, were desperate and had no motivation. That's where the trainer or maybe Sabine can be of help. Don't stop, and certainly not after failing twice at level 3. You can give a third chance. The experience, the background that you have, In preparation, you should always start with your strength. If you have already a very good derivatives background, that's going to be a very good point because you have derivatives at all levels. And I've seen some candidates that avoided derivatives at level 1, at level 2, and at level 3 it was much more complicated. So you can try to avoid the topic. I don't recommend it, but it could be a strategy. But then you have to be very good at ethics. Getting closer to 100% of ethics. Ethics is something that is very technical. You can train it to get very close to the highest score. It's much more technical than one may think. And for derivatives, it's technical, of course, but it will depend on your experience. If you never traded options, it's going to be abstract, especially at level 3. For level 2, you could say, okay, there are only a few points in derivatives, so I may avoid it. Like you could do, say, okay, quant is also not that many points. But as I said, these are tactics that you can apply, but better look for help for that and get a rather good level. As I said, if you do it well for derivatives level 1 and 2, you're going to have the basis for level 3. And of course, budget. That's always an important point. We could see that after 2008, the banks reduced support by almost 80%. And I think that in the current context, it's not going to look good. But you should invest maybe your own money for better preparation. Because if people are not passing, it's most of the time because of lack of preparation. And very seldom, in 20 years, I've seen one case of a person where I had to say, I cannot help you, because your position is to say if the CFA has to prepare an exam for you. That's a case where I cannot help anymore. Because you will have to adapt to an exam that is the very same for everybody. By the way, maybe the thing from a trainer point of view that is a bit of an issue is that if you did not pass, let's say level 3, you cannot get a copy of your results and analyze what went wrong. But most of the time, I can support people when I see the detailed scores and how they went through some specific topics to understand what we can do to improve that. So sufficient budget. And you certainly hear a lot about planning. I have nothing against that, but you cannot spend 90% of your time planning. You have to execute. And that's also important. It's like also people that buy from materials from different providers. It's a case where somebody bought materials from 4 providers. He ended up with such a pile of books, but did not open them. So that's not, it gives you a good conscience, but it's not the solution. But to have a material of 2 providers could be quite of help. Why? Because one of the most important pieces, and that's true for all levels, you need mock exams. You need to practice that and as soon as possible. To work on those mocks afterwards. So the score is important to identify where you likely have the weaknesses, But much more important is to go through the questions and be sure that you answered correctly for the good reason, and analyze why you did it wrong. So often people don't do enough of those mocks in conditions that are closer to the exam if possible. That's why when the CFA Society organizes a mocks exam, do use that opportunity. And you need to rework the whole thing afterwards. And for people that, for instance, in level 3 did not pass, they can have access to questions and can rework that afterwards, maybe with an expert. So planning is certainly necessary, but should not be an overkill. Much more important is that you constantly progress. You don't waste time, you get additional knowledge. That's why if you start with your preparation very early, why not read the topics in the original material that is very detailed, if you like that topic, because that's likely going to be your strength. But it's a question then of time. Most of the time you do not have it. But on the other hand, don't spend your time finding excuses for not preparing. I have some candidates that are top specialists in that, but find dozens of explanations why they did not have the time. If you have kids when you're at level 3, that's never going to be an excuse, for sure. So now the great question is, should you prepare on your own or have more support? That depends really on the elements that I exposed before. If you have a good learning technique, if you're self-motivating yourself, then you can prepare by yourself. Very important there is also to look at different support possibilities. So logically you will go through the different providers and see the packages that they offer. Most of the time they are quite similar. Look at the price, because you have big price differences. Look also at promotions. So buying the material at the right time is also important. There's no reason to pay more than necessary. And now, which package? If you take the gold package, or the highest, the one that has most material, you likely get videos. But videos are something very passive. Not everybody is used to that. And you need time to look at the videos. It's not because you have videos that it's taking you less time. It's likely to take you more time. So, as said, the most important basis are the mock exams, and that can justify to have materials from different providers. Look also, and that's not that much known, you have unbundled packages. So you can, for some providers, just buy the mock exam package. So that's something that I would anyway recommend to look for. So in other words, there is much more services that are available of different types, and they might be not in a package that you need to buy, but unbundled, and you can buy that separately. So really, in other words, the CFA is the exam where you can tailor your support best. It's much less the case for Kaya or the FRM, for instance. But the problem is there is no just single internet page where you can find everything. You need to look at it, or you can ask me, of course. when I say no, preparing on your own, that would be typically that you assist to courses live. That's exactly when you have small kids. Then the likely good strategy is to attend live courses. So you have the discipline to go there at a specific point in time. But you need, on the other hand, a good teacher. That's also an important point. The other advantage is that you can find there other people that you can work with. So study groups are a good thing if that's basically something that you like, to work with other people. But most of the time you need to find somebody that has a similar background, that has the same factors. Otherwise, one's going to help the other, but the second one is not really going to benefit from it. And you do not have that much time. Good. Some rules that I brought together. Yes, the first myth is to learn the formula by heart. If you go to all providers, they will have a sheet with the formulas that are used in the exam. It's good to have that overview, but you do need to understand the formula. And unfortunately, there are also some weaknesses from the providers. I have not seen any provider that was able to explain properly how to do valuations of derivatives. That's in level 2. There are ways to explain that easily. But if you look at what the providers give, they base themselves essentially on formula, and if in the exam you have something that is not exactly that, you're going to get lost. So it's much more important to have the reasoning behind that. There's a common reasoning in valuation of derivatives. That's the first thing that you need to understand. Not learning by heart the formula. Sometimes it will work if it's a direct application, but if there's some difficulty in the question, that might be then difficult. And here I come to the second point about the average time per question. That's absolutely crap. Everybody talks about that. It's nonsense. You have easy question at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. And of course, what is easy for one is not necessarily easy for the other, I agree. But the questions do not all have the same level of difficulty. So you have a certain time constraint during the exam. So you need to be able to answer what you know best first. I will really do that. Now, there's also a strategy for the questions that are unanswered, and you have just 2 minutes to finish the exam. There's a clear strategy there, but I won't explain it here. And would not be the right place. But that's just for if you have 2 minutes left. You need to answer everything, because you cannot lose points if you don't answer. So you need to do that. Why? Yeah, the average time is absolutely irrelevant. At the exam, you need to progress. And if you go to level 3, of course, in the morning you will have the essay questions. And most of the candidates come quite depressed after that. But the point is, you need to do the afternoon exam. So be prepared to be in a good mood for the afternoon. And there I get to another very important point. Level 3 is the most interesting exam, clearly, because it's closer to practice. But the problem is, if people do not have clients and or are managing money, the exam for the morning session will appear as abstract, very abstract. So there you need, I would suggest to look for people that do have that background, that can explain what they do. If you have friends in private banking, normally they should be able to do an IPS properly. I hope, at least. In reality, it's not really that, but there are certainly very good private bankers. And or you look for help from an expert. That's fine on that, but be prepared. It's something that is very different. It's practice oriented. That's a difficulty you don't have for level 1 and level 2. And by preparing, as I suggested at the beginning, always think of all 3 levels at the same time. If you do derivatives at level 1, it's to support derivatives at level 2 at level 3. So it's worth it. And you must have that perspective simply because if you don't do the 3 exams, you have no charter. So it's not worth just looking at level 1. On the other hand, of course, for ones that can, to start at level 1 during a bachelor in economics, that's the optimal timing. But I get back to that. Yeah, but if you can't find the time, then it's exactly where you need the right support. So doing live group sessions is one, but you can go up to private tutoring. And why not? There it gets back to the budget that you want to invest. So the expert can help you, including the coach, as the Swiss CFA Society is introducing coaching. Certainly try to benefit from that. That's exactly getting some input from an expert. And I would certainly suggest that if you get closer to level 3. The expert should be able to focus not only on the weaknesses, but on the strength. When I train people, I really look to find what their strengths are, because that motivates them. And it's seldom the case that somebody doesn't have a strength in something. Also important, the expert, and I think here also of a coach, can help you sort a bit the material. You have a huge quantity of material also at level 2, where people are afraid about the accounting part. If you have a sound understanding of what is essential for the exam, you will find out that there's less material to be done. And of course, as I say also to my students, there's priority 1, priority 2, priority 3 in material. You need to identify that. If you're not good at what is first priority, your chances to pass are really small. So there's a core that you need to master. And somebody with this experience can help you to find the right core, but will also be good in the perspective of the next levels, because that's also what it is about. And most important, the expert can help to identify if your reasoning is good. Because I know some guys that answer correctly, but have no clue why, but are simply very lucky for a long time. Until it breaks. By the way, that brings me also to the Q banks. The providers have their Q banks, question banks. That's a good thing to get at least used to a format. That's the first priority for level 1, CFA level 1 candidates. You need to get familiar with a format if you're not used to it. That's very important because you need to be concentrated on reading correctly the question. For level 3, that's also very important. So it's not just because you have multiple choice. To the contrary, in the essay part, you do need to read correctly the question. And of course, that's a difficulty of level 3. You need to be able to analyze the text properly. That's something to be to train, of course. Everything is in the text, but there are traps. For sure, there are traps. So traps is what you can see also for level 1 and 2. You have elements that are of no use. Or you have so additional information that is useless, and in between that you have pieces that get important. And for level 3, well, an example of that is the way you will calculate in an IPS the required return. If in that context you should use it geometrically linked, but they ask you arithmetic, and you don't do geometric. You answer the question, even if it sounds a bit strange. Well, in ethics, you will find things that are strange to you. When I did the CFA 20 years ago, coming from audit, so in terms of ethics, I think I had a very good level, but I had to learn to have the ethics in the American way, and that's very different. The advantage is it's here very technical. People would be surprised. It's not most of the time gray. It's black or white. It's very clear. No ambiguity. Even though you're always careful in an exam, or if also in prep materials, you have questions that are wrong. There's a mistake somewhere. That brings me also to something else. During the exam, if you spend at level 1 20 minutes on one question because you know it, fine. Think also there could be a mistake in the question. You do it twice, you're out of the game likely. So you need that discipline to progress also in the question in the exam, as you need in your preparation, always to progress. There's so much things that you can do, but there's no reason that you don't progress. I never came across somebody that tells me I know everything. I cannot progress anymore. Then I can test the guy. Bring some difficult derivatives, and the person's likely lost. Good. And at the end of the day, of course, it's the focus. You will progress if you are focused, and a coach can help you to be really focused. One aspect of that is, as I said, prioritizing the content. And something that you certainly not very often hear, there are alternatives. Do prepare 2 diploma in parallel. that's very efficient to do the CFA and Kaya in parallel. You can do CFA level 1 in December, and then Kaya level 1 in March, and then go for CFA level 2 in June, Kaya level 2 in September. That works very well. And you will observe, that's very interesting, you go from both diploma, you see exactly that the exams are placed in a way that you can use optimal timing. You could add and go for all three, CFA, Kaya, FRM. Because the FRM exam is in May, so you can do the June one for CFA. But why I'm telling you that? It's because there are synergies that you can use. It's like a student that does a bachelor in economics. There is material that is quite common to the CFA level 1. So try to leverage on that. You need in that context you need focus, likely also the support of an expert, but it's doable to do at least 2 host diploma. And if you go on the internet or ask an expert, there are even other diploma where by preparing them you support your preparation in the CFA. And that's something that you should think of. Try to use the synergies as much as possible. Because all of the diplomas will be different, but they have things that are quite common. Okay, any questions? Yes?
Does it help if you have been a monitor before?
Excuse me?
Does it help if you have been a monitor before for DEX?
Yes, of course. I started my career by being an auditor. So yes, but I did I started with CFA quite after that. So I started it at a time where I created a reverse convertible structure. So I had a background in derivatives that was already very strong. So that's when I started CFA. And of course, the audit was helpful. If you go there, I say if you're auditor in Switzerland, if you're a good auditor in Switzerland, you will be a bit surprised by the approach in ethics, yes. And you need to have the appropriate reaction to a situation, and a Swiss auditor would typically be more demanding. And if you had that as an answer, as a possible answer, that could lead you to answering incorrectly. But what is very common to audit is, of course, that things are much more technical than one may think. And but at the end of the day, it's and ethics is about that. It's black or white. There's no gray. And for an exam, there will be no ambiguity. Yes?
I have a question. Could you say more, or what in your eyes is the core of level 3? Or the topics where you would focus most, and maybe some topics where you would focus a bit less? Or maybe to rephrase the question, if you have maybe covered the majority of topics already, and you say, what should I focus on now? Because it's really highly tested.
If you're already well prepared, it's now the time to do more and more mock exams, and of course to have a good focus on what is essay part. The difficulty with that is, as you have to write the answers, there's a way to do that in an optimal manner, and that needs to be trained. But it depends on your background. If your background is when you get a question, you write 10 pages, and some people are that way, that's not going to work for the exam. You have to do bullet points, and bring exactly everything that is required. And that's something to be trained. But if you, in that case, for instance, even though we're here for the CFA Society, but you know that Kaya uses the ethics part of the CFA. And as a difference, they do a Kaya level 2 essay for ethics. And that is and the type of answer they want would be exactly as for the CFA level 3, bring bullet points, exactly what is required. Not more, not less. And that's a very good way to train ethics in a different manner. To do a mock exam of Kaya level 3 for the ethics part. By the way, of course, what is you will find matching elements in the alternative part of the CFA that is in Kaya. So do mocks, and here for morning session, especially if you're not used to answer quickly in bullet points, do practice that, and don't hesitate to ask an expert in that. You can even find services where you can prepare an answer and where you get a feedback if your answer is fulfilling that properly. That's also a way to do that. Yes?
You mentioned the budget. What is a fair amount you should calculate with per level?
That is extremely difficult because it's a function of the factors. And what is in one word, what is your background? But I can tell you that's the advantage when I train candidates. I get to learn to learn them and their behavior well, so that I can tell them, okay, you should do that, and that, and there you have a budget for that. But yeah, it depends from where you start. You are level 1.
Yes.
You bought, I guess, prep material from a particular provider?
No.
No, you're working on the original material.
Yes, I do.
Good. I mean, and you have enough time.
I guess
To
I
go
made a
through.
plan, yeah.
Okay. One of the difficulty there is, of course, that you will probably learn stuff that is not so necessary, and maybe, I mean, in terms of risk, you may learn things that's not necessary and have not enough knowledge of what is core. But you certainly can work just with your original material yourself if you have the discipline for that, and the time. That you do need time. And by doing, but still you will need to do mock exam. So do the mock exam that the CFA Society organizes. Don't miss them. That's one thing. And I would certainly, as it does not affect your budget a lot, buy unbundled package just for mock exams. That costs you between $50 and $100. But you will, if you work on the original material, time, and you will need that to add extra input on question, unless you have through your studies practice multiple choice questions the American way, and that should be sufficient then. But most of the time it's not the case. So if you have time and a good background, you can go for a minimum budget. That is the original material and some mock packages. I would strongly recommend to do that, because until now I have never seen somebody that is really top prepared in an exam context.
Had
Patrick will be around for the networking round. I would say, in terms of time,
Sure,
let's
sure.
progress. I don't want to
Thank
stop
you very
him.
much, huh?
He will be around for questions after, make use of him. But I think we go for the next presentation and thinking of time, okay? He will not run away at once.
Good afternoon. So in order to achieve the CFA charter, as I'm sure most of you are aware, you will need to pass the 3 exams in consecutive order, and then you will need to achieve the qualified. Yes, however, the presentation hasn't started. Yes. Sorry. Okay. So, in order to earn your CFA charter, you will need to, as I'm sure most of you are familiar with, pass the CFA exams, have the work experience, submit reference letters, and apply to become a charter holder. Points 2 to 4 can be done in 2 weeks or even less. Point 1, however, takes some time. My name is Alina Gheorghita. I have passed the 3 exams, the 3 CFA exams, during the period 2017-2019. In 2019, I got my charter. So I'm going to share with you my study plan and some thoughts about the preparation for the CFA exam. Of course, I don't think you will be seeing this plan for the first time. I'm sure most of you should be quite familiar with it. So first of all, have a study plan. That can be done quite easy. You have a certain number of readings, a certain timeline. Currently, the exams are in December, so you can count the weeks, the month, and so on. It's your choice how you do it. For example, how I did it. The last page of my notebook, I had all the readings written, of course underlined by topic. As I would progress, I would cut the topics, the readings and then the topics and so on. You would of course need to do all the practice questions, all the online practice questions, all the mock exams, the ones that are online, the ones that the CFA Institute provides, and other from other sources. So it is very important to master the curriculum, I would say, because level 3 builds on level 2, which builds on level 1. So as Patrick mentioned, it is quite important. However, you need to keep your eyes on the next exam. So I wouldn't insist in mastering a curriculum if you haven't touched all topics. And in my opinion, it is important to cover all topics. Of course, you will have your strengths, you will have your weaknesses, but you can't afford to lose points, because on each topic you have some points that you can easily get. So you don't need to achieve a 100% score on a topic to get some points, and I think they are important. So of course you will need to find the time, that is introduce the studying time in each of your schedules. For example, for me it hasn't worked to study 1 hour per day. I couldn't do it. I also have a child, so it is a bit more complicated. Therefore, I prefer to study during weekends, longer study sessions. I always took at least 2 weeks holidays before each exam. For me, because I also studied a lot last minute, I should say, it did wonders. Of course, I would also suggest to start with the topics where you have the most knowledge, because it will give you confidence, you will feel better as you progress, and then alternate with topics where you have less knowledge. But of course, it is also up to you, but this is how I did it. At level 1, I initially started with the readings, and then I would do end of chapter questions. And then at that time, CFA in 2017 didn't have the online. I don't remember having the online test. So the questions that you now have online. But for level 2 and level 3, I had access to the online material. So by the time I arrived to level 3, so I should say for level 3, I studied the least in terms of hours. Well, it was also due to my schedule, let's say, like this. But level 3 has a different format. So you are supposed to build on the knowledge that you have from level 2 and some from level 1 as well. Of course, you need to learn how to answer the written part of the exam. I found the CFA Institute online classes quite helpful. Not classes, the questions that they have online. And why is that? Because if you look when you receive the questions and you see the description, that will help you build the vocabulary. In my opinion, it's quite important. And what I would do is read for you have 3 answers, I would read the explanation for all 3 of them, even if I got the question correct or not. Because it gives you a perspective, I would say. Also on the material, also on the way you are graded as well. In terms of studying materials, I mostly use the CFA materials. It is difficult, for example, you can use other sources. During level 2, I used for some topics other sources when I had less time, for example. And but it is easier if you use the CFA materials because on the online questions, it references the materials. And then what are you going to do? Go back to your books, see what page is that? Or I would suggest go back to the CFA book. As mentioned here, I think the online is very important to do all the questions that are online and that are offered by the CFA Institute. It shows you also where you are, but you are probably quite familiar with this by now, I think. Then, of course, prior to the exam, it's important to cover all gaps that you might have and practice a lot. It's important to sleep enough. There is a direct correlation between sleep and studying. If you are sleep deprived, I don't think you can study very well. Of course, eat healthy. Avoid doing unusual activities. Why did I put this in? For example, I went jogging 2 days prior to the exam with my husband, and a day prior to the exam, level 3, I was sick. So headache, I felt very bad, and you can imagine how stressed, even more stressed I was. So that day I couldn't touch any material, and so on. So I would suggest, of course you need to relax as well, but if you are a daily runner, of course go running. But if you're not, if you run once every month, then it's not the time to start. So, exam day, well, this you know. Arrive in time, have all your documents, arrange for lunch. For me, my husband drove me, and he also brought lunch. Less stress, at least. You don't have to worry if you can find this alternative. Don't leave unanswered questions. I think it's difficult during the exam to go back and forth. I think it's best if you would answer one question at a time, or at least this is my experience. For example, for level 2, you should consider that going back means reading the entire vignette one more time. Because, for example, if you didn't answer, let's say, point 5 and 6 of a vignette, when you go back, you need to read it again. And sometimes they can be 2 pages. So I would suggest answering when you get to it. For level 3, use a pencil and not a pen. Because in case, at least this was my case, I thought, okay, I'm going to start with a pen. It's better to read, nicer to write, and so on and so forth. But if you make a mistake, not ideal because you would need to cross. Of course, CFA Institute will consider this as well. I also saw that my first instinct was sometimes wrong. I had to correct 2 or 3 of these questions. So another advice for level 3 would be, even if you master a topic, don't waste a lot of time on it, in the sense that you should answer what was requested from you and not try to show all your knowledge. Well, also I should say that the space is limited. So even if you want to write a lot, you don't have the place. Something to consider as well. Of course, try not to show your best calligraphy, but I should say also don't write badly or unreadable. So try to find the balance. You need to be able to write fast enough, but it should be a nice handwriting, I should say. Oh. It's okay. So I wanted to share with you my results for the written part and the multiple choice part. So I scored 70% for each subject. However, for the written part, I was in the 19th percentile.
That was just the second page.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so I scored 70% for the written part, and I was in the 19th percentile. And for the multiple choice, I scored the same 70%. However, I think I was in the 70th percentile. Therefore, most of the candidates don't do that well on the written part, I should say. However, the multiple choice is the strong point of most candidates. So, thank you very much. Any questions?
Which topics would you recommend to focus for the second level, like priority, equity?
So I would suggest starting with the topics that you like most. Now you practically have the time. And then alternate with the topics that you don't like. For example, the way I did it, I started with equity because I had very little background in equity, so it's actually the reverse. But I did lose a lot of time with it. So I think it's best if you alternate. You start with your strong point, leave ethics at the end, as they all say. Because for ethics, well, I didn't find ethics that difficult, to be honest. So, but you need to read the materials, and then you need to read the extra materials, and then do a lot of practice questions. But I think for level 2, I mean, equity for sure, you need to master it. Financial analysis as well, fixed income, and the rest, they are not that broad. But I don't think you can pass without equity. So.
How did you prepare for the essay part on the level 3? Do you had any specific, I mean, given the fact that you passed with this high percentile?
Well, I didn't, my strategy was to, so I used the CFA online exercises, and you would see that for each answer, it gives you an explanation. And I would look at every answer and then see the explanation. Of course, you can also read the comments that are associated with it. So, and also the books are also very important, because you have the vocabulary as well. So, yes.
Did you make a handwriting summary after you read all the curriculum book?
So what I did with level 1, I did my own exam. So
For level 3?
for level 3, no, I didn't do any summary.
But then, just before the test, you have to cover whole curriculum, very, very large volume.
Yes.
How do you cover with a short time with a large volume?
Well, the idea is that I would say that prior to the exam, you need to have all topics in focus. So, okay, maybe you are not studying that topic, however, you have to do exercises from all topics, at least 2 weeks prior to the exam. And when you do exercises, even if, for example, you get something wrong, then it sends you back to the book, and then you can read some more on that. So I didn't do a recap, before. I just did all the online exercises, then you can reset, then you do them again, and then you read all the answers. Even if you get one question, for example, if for a question you got it right by accident, and you guessed it, then don't expect to do the same again. So you should just try to master that one as well.
Okay, in that sense, what about this case? I mean, I don't have much time,
Yes.
The curriculum is very, very large.
Yes.
Just before the test, cover all the example tests in the curriculum. Just cover really that. Is it a good way to study just before the test?
So for example, if you don't have a lot of time, what you can do is the following. You can start, you reset all your practice questions, and you start with each topic and you do the test. And then you will see which are your strong points and which are your weak points. And then if you have time, you go back to the books. If not, you will read the explanations for what you did wrong. Yes?
Yeah, did you ever fail one exam never, or did you have to repeat one? Or
No, I never failed. I never failed a CFA exam.
Okay, great.
It was important.
But do you have any kind of tip if you have to repeat one level again? Like how to start, how is the strategy? Because I think you learned everything.
So what I can say, initially I wanted to take level 1 in 2016. But then because I had a small baby and I started to work 100%, I gave up. It was 2 months prior to the exam. And then I said, okay, not this year, I will do it next year. I didn't do it in December also for private reasons, because we were moving and it was a mess. So I thought, okay, maybe by June next year I have everything together and I can start. So for level 1, I had covered, I think, the first 3 topics by the time I gave up. However, I didn't have the confidence to proceed. So practically for each exam I sat once and passed. Of course, if you failed one exam, then you know which are your weak points. I would strongly suggest that you take time prior to the exam. Because, for example, if I were to take level 2 now, I would probably fail. If I were to take level 3, I would fail. Level 1, I think I would pass it, if I look retrospectively. So it's important to have all your topics prior to the exam quite present in your mind. So that's why it's important to do tests from all topics. Because maybe you are scoring 80% at fixed income now, and then you relax and you don't do anything until December, and then exam day, because we do forget the material. In terms of materials, you need, for example, what helped me, if there was a topic that I had not a very good idea about, I would watch a video. For me, the videos worked. It's 30 minutes or 45 minutes. You can do it while you eat, for example. I know, but well. And then you can go back, for example, to the book or to that reading and read it again. Because if you watch, for example, you can get lost in a reading, especially if you read it from the CFA materials. Maybe you start at one point and then by the time you end it, you forgot where you started. So if you watch a video, for example, it will not give you enough knowledge to pass, but it gives you the bigger picture of that reading. So for topics, for example, valuation of derivatives, you can start with a reading, you go to 5% knowledge. But at least it gives you the content, you know where it starts, you know where it's supposed to end.
Thank you.
Also, Lena is not running away because I'm a bit conscious of time. So I don't want you to say, well, I will never go to a CFA Society event again because they never keep the time. So Elena, Patrick, Sheila, myself, Miriana, and Jeff, we will be around for questions afterwards, so no worries. Thank you very much, Alina. Sorry to be so abrupt. So a lot of questions I will answer, which came up and will come up again. So that's why I just thought, let's go to my part. If you have forgotten from the beginning, my name is Sabine Feierabend. I'm working for the CFA Society in Switzerland, and I want to make some small things clear. We're not CFA Institute in Switzerland, we're the CFA Society in Switzerland. We are the professional body in Switzerland for CFA chart holders and candidates. We're a total own legal entity. We're here to support you, but we are mainly here for our members who are 90% charter holders. So CFA Society Switzerland has currently about 3,300 members / charter holders and about 1,800 candidates working, living, sitting the CFA exam in Switzerland. So just to give you an idea. We're the second largest society in continental Europe. Of course, UK is a little bit bigger simply because they speak English. Okay, what do we deliver in terms of offering? To our members, we deliver professional learnings event. We deliver content. It's still about content, it's still about learning, even if you have the charter in your hands. We have career events for our members. We deliver social networking programs. We have a mentoring program just kicked off for our members, and we have volunteering. On the other hand, what do we do for our candidates? We do live mock exams. As you heard from Patrick, from Alina, these mock exams are really important. We do these live in the setting, or nearly the setting you will have in December in Zurich Messe. We do offer local study WhatsApp groups, so you can exchange with your peer group in level 1, level 2, and level 3. We will try to reactivate, starting tonight, in-person study group forming, because we think that's really valuable. What we do, and here it comes, if you fail the exam, we offer you a 30-minute discussion, get together with an experienced charter holder who will look at your results and give you feedback. I will touch on that later. And we try to negotiate the most valuable discounts for prep products from prep providers. Again, we just offer it. As Patrick said, as Alina said, everybody needs something else. Go to our website, you will find a lot of possibilities, a lot of offerings for you, being it videos, being it material, whatever, you need to find it out. Live mock exams. There are a lot of mock exams in the curriculum already offered by CFA Institute. Make use of them first before coming to or signing up to the live mock exams. We provide live mock exams 5 and 2 weeks prior to each exam. So this cycle, it will be the 31st October and the 21st of November. We will do that in Zurich at both dates, in Lausanne and in Geneva each time once. It will be a live experience, so what you will get, at least this time, you will still get paperwork. That's a mock exam. It's a lot of paperwork. We order it, we print it for you. You get the paper in your hands, you have to sit there, check in, have the proctors run around, have the noise. So it's another setting as if you would do it at home. That's really a huge difference. Once you finish the mock exam, you will be getting the answer paper. And as Patrick said, you need to correct it yourself in order to identify the gaps. We get a lot of questions of candidates who said, who will correct my paper? You do. Because only by identifying what went wrong, you can actually progress. So why do we do 2 mock exams? The first mock exam should give you an idea, where do I stand? And between the 31st of October and the 21st of November, you can still fill the gaps, hopefully, to
get proof that you're ready for the real exam on 21st of November. We do the mock exam based on Fitch learning material and Kaplan-Schwese, but we are also working with the CFA Society Boston, who writes an own exam. So a lot of candidates may do the Kaplan-Schwese in Frankfurt or in Milan. Just approach us, we can organize you another one. So only just because you already did the Kaplan-Schwese doesn't mean we wouldn't have one at hand for you. Okay? The WhatsApp groups. If you sign up for the mock exam, you can sign up for the WhatsApp group of your level and have the exchange with your peers. We experienced that a lot of questions are not clear to some of the candidates. They take a picture, put it to the WhatsApp group, and by explaining to your peers, you actually learn again. So we really find that helpful for you. We are not there to answer, I can't, but you are there to help one another. So that's really something that can be helpful. We have it for every level, of course. We started it before COVID hit it. So we changed the subject from June to December. And everybody who is not going for the December exam can leave the group. I mean, it's a WhatsApp group. You can leave it whenever you want. We will offer you, after this presentation, we will offer you the possibility to form study groups here. But we will also, on the website, have a link away from tomorrow evening to sign up for in-person study groups. The exam results feedback, formerly known as post-mortem. We would like to work on a new name. So your exam date is on 5th of December. You get the exam results 6 to 8 weeks later, so somewhat end of January. You will be receiving an email that your results are online in your CFA account and you can download it. That is a one-pager, and as you saw with Alina, you will get the passed or not passed on the first page. And on the second page, you get an idea of how you did, but you potentially cannot interpret that the way you want to. So that's where you will be getting an email from the society if you failed, only if you failed, so hopefully you won't. And you can sign up for a 30-minute discussion with a CFA charter holder who explains you where you have to put more effort in for the second round. Something to say about being not well prepared. We get a lot of calls the closer we get to the exam date. I'm not prepared, where can I cancel? You probably know CFA will not let you cancel. So however prepared you are, go. Just get the experience, because it will help you for the next round. Don't just give them the money without showing up. Go there, use it as a mock exam at least. It helps you for the next time you go, or it tells you, no, maybe in 5 years. Third-party providers, offers and discounts we have on hand. We work with Kaplan-Schwese as every other society in this world. At the moment, they have this free question bank you can sign up to. That's all on our website. So if you visit our website, you will see all the offerings. We have discounts on study material. If you're using their portal, if you sign in with your CFA account, you already see the discounted prices. Fitch Learning, we have again discounts on their study material if you mention CFA Society Switzerland in the call. We were able to manage discounts on in-person classes. If somebody really says, I need the class of CFA, it is in Geneva, there is ESFB, and in Rotkreuz there is CF Studies, who offer regular class courses. You have 10% as a normal Switzerland candidate, and you can get 20% for a candidate member. Then we just started to work with Nathan Ronan, who is a charter holder as well. He is New York based.
he is doing something really special. He's doing essay writing workshops for those sitting for level 3. And I think that's really something very special because he's correcting every essay. So if you want to read more about it, go on our website. There is a description, there is a video from him. He also has on-demand videos which are at sale, especially for level 1. Again, on our website, you get more information. I personally think, I heard it a lot from not only from Alina, the curriculum of CFA is actually what you need. Everything you buy on top is something on top. You need to find out what works best for you. And there is almost everywhere, there is a trial video, a trial something. So first go with the trial before you actually spend a lot of money. And last but not least, and then we're really ready for something to drink, let me introduce you to our local membership for candidates. That's something relatively new. So there is a regular membership for the charter holders. There is an affiliate membership for those who want to be part of the club but haven't received the charter, never. And there is the candidate membership. If you're enrolled as a candidate, you're eligible to be a candidate member. It actually gives you the same access to the society as the regular member, except for the designation. So the biggest benefit, in my view, is that you access the entire network of 3,300 charter holders in Switzerland. Additionally, besides joining all events, being it social, being it educational, being it careers, at member prices, you can get a lot more discounts than as a normal candidate, regular candidate, so to say. So there are 20% on regular mock exam prices, on selected Schweser material, more on Fitch material, and. We have kicked off a mentoring program for level 2 candidates, which calls the Chameleon program. You could also only enter this program when being a candidate member in Switzerland. It gives you access to the Society Mentorship program, which we kicked off in April, and we will certainly do it again next year. It gives you more discounts on these essay writing workshops, and to the Society Member Value Pack, that's for every member the same. There are newspapers, the Project Neptune, you maybe know that from university, books, cars, whatever. It's just like with the health insurance, a nice little member value package. So if this is something you could consider to be worthwhile looking into, again, check our website or call us anytime. We are here to answer your questions. Now, before we get to Q&A, the plan we had in mind is to split you in levels. We would like to keep level 3 people here, level 2 1 floor up, and level 1 to the room in the back. There will be drinks, there will be apéro, and there will be a charter holder. So I think I would suggest we take the Q&A session into each level. We will mingle around. You stay in the room, as I said. Level 1 to the back, level 2 upstairs, level 3 here. And then please ask all your questions. Okay? Thank you very much for being here.